At 6:05 on a Thursday evening in Dayton, Ohio, a man backs a dull gray Corolla into a driveway between two neighbors' brand new pickups, and the picture looks exactly like what losing is supposed to look like. And here's the part that should get your attention. This man takes home just under $4,000 a month. Ordinary money, nothing special, and he is on track to be the wealthiest person on that street by a distance that would embarrass everyone else on it. Not because of a raise, an inheritance, or a lucky ticket, because of the car, the boring one. There's a piece of math hiding inside that driveway, a specific four-line teachable piece of math, and by the end of this video, you'll have every line of it. But I'm going to make you sit with it for a few minutes first, because the reason this math stays hidden has almost nothing to do with numbers and everything to do with the fact that an entire industry is arranged around the hope that you never do it. That's not a figure of speech. Somewhere in your town, tonight, there is a finance manager whose income quietly depends on you never sitting down with a pencil. My name is William. Let's ruin his evening. Start with the question you'll be asked within 90 seconds of stepping onto any lot in America. Not what you want to spend. That question died decades ago. The question is, what monthly payment were you hoping to stay under? And that one sentence is the entire machine. The industry's standard worksheet is literally called a four-square: price, trade-in, down payment, monthly payment. And the training is explicit. Move the customer's eyes into the payment box and keep them there, because a payment is adjustable in ways a price is not. Stretch 72 months to 84, and almost any car slides under almost any ceiling. Behavioral economists call the mechanism anchoring. The first number on the table becomes the number every other number gets judged against, and the payment is always, always the first number on the table. It is the perfect anchor because it is small, it is monthly, and it is not the price of anything. Payments are the seller's math. And if you've ever sat in a finance office while the numbers moved a little faster than you could hold them, a rate here, a term there, three products you never asked about appearing on a screen turned slightly away from you, and you signed and you drove home with a vague feeling you couldn't name, that wasn't stupidity. That was a sane response to a room built to move at exactly that speed. If you've promised yourself 3 separate times that the next car would be the sensible one and watched all 3 promises die in the smell of a new interior, you didn't fail 3 times. You were outnumbered. The room does this every day. You do it every 6 years. And the timing matters because 2026 is the most expensive year in history to lose this particular game. Experian's own market data puts the average new car payment at $770 a month. The average, meaning half the room is above it, against an average of nearly $44,000 borrowed. More than a third of new loans now run longer than 6 years. And Edmunds found that 31% of people trading a car in are underwater on the old loan by an average of $7,183, debt from the last car shoveled into the next one. Read those 3 numbers together and the picture is simple. This is no longer a story about transportation. It is a story about a payment that never, ever ends. Which brings me back to Dayton. His name, for our purposes, is Ethan. 38, HVAC technician, 14 years in the trade. And 2 years ago, Ethan's driveway held a very different vehicle, a financed pickup with a $676 payment on which he still owed $19,000. One night, a Wednesday, 11:40 p.m., 2 pieces of paper met on his kitchen counter, an insurance renewal that had gone up again, and an estimate for $500 of brake work on a truck he didn't own. That was the night he said the thing out loud. I am paying every month in 4 different directions for the privilege of standing still. Now, the math. And the math does not come from a bank, an app, or a spreadsheet channel. It comes from his uncle. Ray rebuilt transmissions for 26 years, and when Ethan asked him, half joking, what truck he should buy next, Ray wiped his hands and said something Ethan wrote down in his phone in the parking lot. Every car has 2 prices.
The first one is on the window, and they print it in big numbers. The second one charges you every month you own it, and nobody prints it anywhere because the man selling you the car is praying you never print it yourself. 26 years under other people's mistakes, and that was the whole diagnosis. Ethan went home, sat down with the wreckage of his truck loan, and asked the question that builds everything you're about to learn. What is my second price?
Here's why that question beats every calculator you've ever closed. The second price doesn't hide because it's complicated, it hides because it's scattered. A little in the loan, a little in the insurance, and the biggest piece in a bill nobody ever mails you. Your brain sorts those into separate pockets and never adds the pockets together. The dealer knows this. The whole showroom is built on it. So we're going to do the adding right now on 2 real cars. Here's the math, the second price. 4 lines, and you can run them on a napkin. Line 1, the melt, what the car loses in value per month while you own it, the bill that never arrives. A new SUV, take a 33.5 sticker, is worth around $13,500 at year 6. That is $278 a month gone, invoiced by nobody. Line 2, the rent on the money, the interest, including the part you were never told about. When the finance office shops your loan, the bank answers with a buy rate, say 6.5%. What reaches the desk is 8.5% because the store is allowed to add up to 2 points and keep the difference. It's called dealer reserve, and it never appears as a line item. On $38,000 over 72 months, the interest comes to $10,672, $148 a month. Line 3, the padding, the back office. A $2,800 extended warranty carrying roughly half of that as margin. $900 of gap coverage your own insurer sells for about $20 to $40 a year. $600 of paint protection that is, chemically speaking, wax. All of it rolled into the loan. You are paying 8.5% interest on wax. $63 a month. Line 4, the drag. The full coverage insurance the lender requires on a car it technically owns, running about $800 a year beyond what liability costs on a paid-off car. $67 a month. Add the 4 lines, $555 a month. That is the second price of the new SUV, not the $676 on the coupon book, because some of that comes back as trade-in value. $555 is the part that never comes back. Now run the same 4 lines on Ethan's gray Corolla, bought 6 years old for $16,000 through his credit union. The melt, $90 a month, because the steep half of the curve already happened to a stranger. The rent, $23, a 3-year loan at a posted rate, no reserve, no desk. The padding, $0, by name, out loud. The drag, he budgets $100 a month into a repair fund, a high-yield savings account paying around 4%. Expected costs divided by 12, transferred automatically. Total, $213 a month. Same roads, same rain. $342 a month apart. And notice what this math is not. It is not an opinion, and it is not a lifestyle lecture. Every line is checkable in 20 minutes. The melt from any used listing site by looking up your own model 3 years older, the rent from your loan statement, the padding from the contract you signed, the drag from one phone call to your insurer. The showroom's entire advantage is that nobody ever puts the 4 lines on the same page. You just did. You don't drive the sticker, you drive the second price.
Before the next part, and the next part is 2 men in the same parking lot, one small piece of business. If a channel that prints the number the showroom won't is worth having around, subscribing is how you keep the printer running. And in the comments, run the 4 lines on whatever's in your driveway right now and post your second price, the honest one, not the one with the wax left out. I read those. Because Ethan had a coworker. Call him Mason. Same shop, same certifications, take home within $100 of Ethan's. I am keeping them nearly identical on purpose because the distance between these 2 men is not $1 of income. 2 years ago, the same month Ethan brought the Corolla, Mason signed for a new SUV at $676 a month, and for a while, the parking lot at work had a clear winner.
This spring, Mason got tired of it. The newness wears off around month 8. It always wears off around month 8. And the trade-in offer came back at $17,000 against a $21,000 balance, $4,000 underwater. The desk had a ready solution, the one they handed to 31% of trade-ins this year. Roll it forward. Mason's new payment is bigger than his old one on a longer term, and part of it is paying for a truck he no longer owns. He doesn't buy cars anymore. He subscribes to them. And if that paragraph stung, if you've got a balance right now that's bigger than the car under it, don't scroll past the sting. It isn't an accusation. It's a diagnosis, and it arrived free, which is not how the finance office delivers anything. There's a moment from Ethan's second year I want you to have, because this is what the middle of the math feels like from inside. The water pump went. $480, the real thing, the tow and everything. He paid it from the repair fund the same afternoon, drove home, and it wasn't until he was pulling into his own street that he noticed what hadn't happened. No spiral, no kitchen counter at 1140. $72 a month of budgeted boredom had absorbed the whole event. He mentioned it to his wife the way you mention an errand. That's the product, by the way, not the car, the quiet. And now the number the whole industry prays over. $342 a month, the gap between the two second prices, dropped into a plain S&P 500 index fund and left alone, at 8% a year, deliberately below the market's long-run average so nobody can accuse this math of optimism, becomes roughly $510,000 over 30 years, $500,000. That is what the new SUV actually costs, not $38,000, not $555 a month, $500,000, paid in the one currency nobody at the dealership will ever mention, everything that money would have become. And because the cycle repeats, new loan every 5 or 6 years, the newness dying on schedule, the shortfall rolling forward, the gap isn't a one-time toll. It compounds against the man paying it for exactly as long as he keeps answering the payment question with a payment. 2 honest edges before the finish. First, if your vehicle is your income, if the truck carries the tools and a breakdown costs you paying jobs, then reliability is a business expense, and newer can genuinely be the right answer. The 4 lines still apply. Run them on the work truck too, and you'll usually find the 3-year-old version of the same truck wins the same argument. Second, if you're already deep underwater, and the average underwater trade is carrying over $7,000, the move is not a trade, and it is definitely not rolling it forward. It's keep and cross. Drive the car past the payoff, let the balance sink under the value, and exit the loan standing up. A rolled loan is a hole you're digging with borrowed shovels.
3 moves, and you can make the first one tonight. 1. Run the 4 lines on the car you have now. Melt, rent, padding, drag, and write your second price down once. Just seeing it printed does most of the work. It's the number the whole building was designed to keep off paper. 2. If a purchase is coming, get approved at a credit union before your shoes touch a showroom. The rake arrives in writing. Every auto inquiry inside a 2-week window counts as a single pull on your credit, and you walk in holding a number the desk has to beat instead of a payment they get to stretch. Then buy the 3-year-old version of the car you actually want and let a stranger keep paying the melt. 3. The day any car payment ends, the payment doesn't stop, it changes address. Which account it moves to first and in what order is its own piece of math, and it deserves its own 18 minutes. One last time. 6:05 on a Thursday evening in Dayton. A gray Corolla backing in between 2 gleaming pickups, and now you know exactly what you're looking at. Not a man who's settled, a man holding a napkin with 4 lines on it, a repair fund that answers the phone before panic does, and $342 a month quietly turning into the only thing on that street that appreciates. The pickups will be traded by spring.
The prayer in the finance office goes unanswered on this one house. You don't drive the sticker, you drive the second price, and the best possible evening to print yours is this one.